guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
First one is titled, "Sell My Son Your Land or I Will Call the Police." Some backstory. My, now passed on, next-door neighbor was a terrible busybody who felt it was her God-given right to tell everyone in our street what they could and couldn't do, from where they parked their cars to what flowers they could grow. She had to know everyone's business and would harass people until she got answers, even going as far as stalking, but that is for other stories. If she didn't get her own way, she would spread the most evil gossip. Her adult children, a son and a daughter, were both greedy and deeply entitled, believing that because the majority of the street were either social housing or rented properties, they were better than everyone else, and if they didn't get what they wanted, then Mother would sort it out. I have many stories about this neighbor far worse than this, but I will start off with this one, as it is the mildest thing she had done and fits into the entitled people subreddit better. The son owns 2 other properties near the end of the street which he rents out. At the very end of the same street is another house with a plot of land right next to it. The owners of that house and land built a garage that they use for work, rebuilding old cars and bikes. The business is at least 30 years old, handed down from father to son. It's very small, so they can only work on one vehicle at a time, but due to the owner's skills at restoration, they're always in high demand. One day about 10 years ago, the son rocks up in his latest BMW and walks up to the owner, a father and his teenage son. The rest of this conversation is paraphrased, as I was not a witness, but this was told to my family by the owners themselves. "Son, hey guys, it's your lucky day. I want to buy your land. I will give you £15,000. Notice that he didn't ask if it was for sale or offer to negotiate a fair price. Owner, no, sorry. The business is not for sale. Thanks for the interest though. Son, I wasn't asking for your business. You can set up somewhere else. I want this land. It's just the right size to build another house on. Owner, well, sorry, no. This is our livelihood. We can't just move. We would lose business while looking for someplace else, and besides, it used to be my father's garage and it's next door to our home, so why would we want to sell it? Son, so you can make money. Owner, but we make money working here, so sorry, but it's not for sale. The son then does what you would expect a grown man of 30, yes, 30 to do. He complained to his mother. His mother takes no time at all to walk back to the garage. Entitled, Mom, why would you sell your garage to my son? He wants to build a house here. Owner, because this is our place of business and we don't want to sell. Entitled, Mom, you shouldn't even be working here. It's dangerous. Owner, I can assure you, ma'am, everything is up to code and we have every right to work here. Now, please leave us alone. Entitled, Mom, what are you hiding in there? Is it drugs? Owner, what? No, we are fixing up an old bike. Entitled, Mom, I knew it. You are working here illegally. Sell your land to my son or I will contact the authorities. The owner laughed and told her to go ahead. She stormed off and they thought it was over. Just the nutty ravings of a mad granny, right? An hour later, sure enough, the police arrive. Apparently, an anonymous caller rang them to say that the owners had been dealing drugs out of the garage. It was obvious who had called them. Of course, all the neighbors had seen the police arrive. Our street is normally quiet, and we are all nosy bastards, so when you see a blue flashing light, you step out and watch the show unfold. Entitled, Mom took great glee in telling everyone stood around and watching the chaos how the owners had been selling drugs to children and how she wasn't the one who called them, but everyone knows what is going on, and thank goodness something is finally being done about it. Half the neighbors were shocked at this event, but a few of the longer-term residents were already giving her the side eye like it was on special offer at Tesco or Walmart. She must have been feeling pretty smug with herself. Only there was a snag, just a little one. Because the tiny garage worked on rare and old cars, which can be expensive, the owners had CCTV. There was something Entitled, Mom had not counted on. After the police had shown up, the owners knew who the culprit was and had no issue with showing footage, complete with sound to the officers showing Entitled, Mom threatening to call the police if they didn't sell the land. With half the neighbors out and watching events unfold, the Entitled Mom's face switched from smugness to fear as the police walked away from the garage and approached her instead. The officer then asked if they could step inside her home to discuss something she probably did not want her neighbors to hear. She received a warning regarding harassment and wasting police time. The owners of the garage were never bothered again, and the last remaining neighbors, who didn't know how bad she was, finally saw her for the witch she was. Sorry the ending wasn't epic, but that's just how it was. Next one is titled, Mom expects me to let her and her kid hang out in my house when I'm about to leave. This all happened during the Texas power outages. My whole street had lost power, and I was getting ready to head to my uncle's house because he had electricity. Not even kidding, 2 minutes before I was about to leave, I could knock at the door. I go to answer it and I see my neighbor who lives in the house behind me. We'll call her Big Bertha, with her kid. I say hey and ask what's going on. Big Bertha tells me they had family occupying their house and they needed a place to stay because it was too full. I said to them, sorry, I'm leaving myself. I won't be able to let you guys stay. Keep in mind, I barely even know these people. She responds with the most entitled statement ever. So you're going to be the reason we freeze? Selfish. I was honestly in shock. I didn't know what to do. I was just expecting for her to accept it and be on her way. I said I'm sorry and went to close the door. As it was closing, I heard her say ouch. I turned around to see she put her foot between the door so it wouldn't close. She then opened it back up and stepped into my house, yanking her kid in with her. Looking at me, she says, "We're not leaving." What? What do you mean you're not leaving? I didn't know what to think. This fool was acting like she was the dictator of r/weekly dictator or something. At that point, I knew she was too stubborn to be convinced. I'd have to trick her. What I did was I said, "Here, come with me. I'll get you the spare key to my house so you can access it while I'm gone. It's out front." I grabbed my bags and had them follow me outside. As soon as the door closed, I locked it, ran to my car, and sped out of my driveway. I nearly ran over Big Bertha because she thought she could stop me by standing in the middle of the road, but I swerved onto someone's lawn. When I got to my uncle's, I realized I forgot my phone, but it turned out all right because I didn't really need it anyways. But my gosh, that lady was insane, and I haven't seen her since that incident. Next one is titled, My Neighbor Called the Cops Because We Decided to Clean Our Apartment. I'm so glad that I found this sub because I'm dying to tell this story. So, my boyfriend and I moved into an apartment in August. It's older, so the floors are super creaky. According to our lease, we're obligated to cover 90% of any room with carpet, except bathroom and kitchen, to help with noise. It turned out our apartment was previously managed as a dorm by the local college, so the floors already have a layer of super thin shitty carpet. We also laid down more rugs to help with noise cancellation. Our downstairs neighbor moves him out a month later, and within a month of that, starts banging on her ceiling when we get too rowdy. The first couple times, it happened super late in the living room. Our apartments have the same plan. We were moving around after midnight the first time. Later, she came to talk to us and asked us to keep it down at night. Sure, fair enough. The next time was when we walked it from the airport at 10 p.m. She came up, banged on the door, and talked over my explanation. I told her I was sorry and asked when she was hearing the noise, assuming it was just the cat running around at night. No, she tells me that she knows it's not the cat, she knows it's us, and she doesn't live alone. Okay, weird, but whatever. We started going to bed earlier as we settled into the apartment and our jobs, but the banging only continued. For months, she would hit her ceiling our floor whenever we walked around. Bed at 10, bang. Wake up at 5:30 for work, bang. Sitting on the couch but decide you want snacks, bang. Around Christmas, she comes up to our door again. My boyfriend answered, and this time I recorded, and I'm so glad I did. This woman came up and looked my boyfriend in the eye and said, "You have to stop following me." Ooh, what? I know it's not the cat or the dog or your girlfriend because I know your footsteps. I don't know how you figured it out, but you figured out how to listen to where I am and you're following me around my apartment and I'm sick of it. My boyfriend calmly responded that she sounds crazy and that we don't care about her. She again reminded us that she doesn't live alone. Her boyfriend is a small Latino man in his 60s who is very polite and has never said a word to us. Cool, she's insane, whatever. The banging continued with us stomping every time we heard it. She didn't like that, but it made it more fun. We'd already explained the situation to the landlord and the super, and they were on our side. Our town was the first in the US to be locked down under quarantine, so for the first few days, the banging gradually increased until one day this woman lost her mind. I'll admit that we're early risers on the weekends. On this Sunday, we ended up waking up super early, but not doing much for the first few hours. We drank some coffee and sat on the couch until almost 11. At that point, we decided to get up and clean the apartment. Homegirl went crazy. She had to be running from one end of her apartment to the other. She's banging her ceiling so hard that we're convinced she's damaging it. At one point, I hear what sounds like muffled yelling after she followed me into the bedroom. We had plans that day, so we ignored her, finished cleaning, and started to leave. She must have been waiting for us to leave, because for the first time ever, she walked out of her apartment right as we go to her landing. I was holding the dog while waiting for my boyfriend come down as she starts to descend the stairs. Of course, she decides to turn around and say something. Crazy witch, tell your boyfriend to cut it out. Me? Cut what out? Walking. You're hitting the ceiling because of me and the dog moving, not him. Crazy witch continues to spew some other dumb crap as my boyfriend gets down to me. She proceeded to stay exactly 3 steps ahead of him, slowing us all the way down the stairs. She tried to block us going out the door at the bottom, but backed off when he just didn't stop moving. She's continuing to yell at him all the way to the parking lot. Of myself and my boyfriend, he's typically the hothead while I'm the calm one. Amazingly, he kept his calm the whole time, calling her only a crazy lady and ignoring her as he walked past her in her car to the dumpster. As I passed her car, she decided to continue talking at me, and I was just upset not to engage. Crazy witch, I'm serious, it's done. Me? Okay, what do you want us to do, Crawl? I already told you we have a 60-pound dog, and we're all just walking around. Crazy witch, talking while I talked, so I don't hear everything, and you need to remember that I don't live alone. Me? Okay, which neither do I. You see my boyfriend right there, so what's your point? By the way, that's the 3rd or 4th time you said that, and that could be taken as a threat. Crazy witch, you think it's a threat? Fine, it is. Me? Cool, I'm calling the cops. Crazy witch, okay, me too. We both call the cops, and they pull up. They talk to her first and then come talk to us. I don't know what she told them, but when they came to talk to us, I told them everything she'd said and done for the past 6 months. The officer explained that it was a civil matter that would have to dealt with by the landlord, but assured us that they explained to her that it is perfectly acceptable to walk around your apartment at 11 a.m. on a Sunday. They also told her not to knock on our door ever again and that she's not allowed to bang on our floor over footsteps at any point. For a couple nights, she got back at us by banging at 1:30 a.m. to wake us up. We had already reached out to our landlord again, and this time, he told us he'd see what her problem is. That's still not the last of his troubles with her, though. We ended up talking to the people that live below her and telling them about the banging. It turns out they've heard it this whole time and had no idea what it was. Now that they know, they've also reported her to the landlord. The banging has stopped, we don't expect her lease to be renewed, and we may end up in a better apartment in the next couple months. Edit. A few comments have tried to paint my neighbor as an innocent in this. I want to clarify that she made direct threats to me when I apologized and told her we'd take care of it. That was the first time she met me, and all I did was apologize and say we'd fix it. She was never trying to be friendly and work it out. We have never engaged her. We have never provoked her. Next one is titled. Entitled Karen's getting mad for the long wait for food even after being told it would be a while, then calls the store. So this happened a few days ago. I'm 17 and currently work at McDonald's in customer service. On this night, we were understaffed and backed up. There was a line in the drive-thru and a bunch of people in the lobby waiting. A lot of them were nice and understanding when we apologized for the wait for food. Others were annoyed but never said anything. But these two were the worst. So these two women, we'll call them Karen 1 and Karen 2, were in the drive-thru at first. However, they passed by the speaker where you are supposed to order. They attempted to order at the window, but my coworker told them that they'll either have to go back around or come inside to order. Karen 1, who is about maybe 17 or 18, chimes in with I used to work here in a very snobby way to try to get special treatment, I guess. My coworker, who has had it with their rude behavior, just goes, okay, I don't give a duck. And they laughed before driving off. They both came inside and ordered, and they were told that it would be a bit of a wait since we were understaffed and backed up. Not even 10 minutes later, they started complaining. Karen 2, who was an older lady, was yelling at 2 of my coworkers for talking. They were trying to communicate on what food was needed right then and there and what needed to be made, and was also cussing my manager out. Karen 1 is laughing and shows she's on FaceTime with one of the morning crew managers that works with us. This manager causes a lot of problems, as a way to try and gain leverage of the situation. Finally, after much arguing, they leave. About an hour later, a call on the store phone happens. Since my manager was busy, I answered. Here's how the call went. Thank you for calling McDonald's. How can I help? Who is your manager? I'm sorry. Who is your manager? I want her name. I'm sorry, but without a reason or permission, I legally can't give you that information. What's the issue? I'm a customer, you're an employee. You're right, meaning I have rules to follow. What's the issue, ma'am? I don't need to give you a reason. I want your name and your manager's name. You don't need to know my name. Look, since you clearly don't have a reason, we're done here. I hung up the phone and 10 minutes later, they called again. This time, my manager answered and just like me, they wouldn't tell her what the problem was. Funny thing is, Karen 1 did used to work there 2 years ago, but got fired for being a shitty worker. Thanks for listening.